Nomus in My Hero Academia are some of the best monsters I've seen to come out of Shonen Jump, and this is coming from a guy who loves the type of creatures that Akira Toriyama and Mitsutoshi Shimabukuro have created. From the dinosaurs in Dragon Ball to the monsters that Akira Toriyama draws in Dragon Quest, to the creatures of Toriko that are given to us from Shimabukuro, there is literally nothing else on this tier. Well, at least from me personally. From Hollows to Cursed Spirits to Sea Kings and Akuma. I love them all, but when it comes to Nomu, there is something that I can't help but feel is extremely overlooked when it comes to them. From their stomach-turning designs, which consists of them having an exposed brain, from the overall role that they play in the overarching story of My Hero Academia, these grotesque lab experiments are unlike any monsters we've seen before, and I can't help but feel like they're taken for granted. From the unique sense of horror that the Nomus bring whenever they appear in the series, this same unsettling and hideous nature of the Nomus can be found in Horikoshi's artwork and other mangas alike. And it's amazing to see his creative genius from Barrage and Omagadoki Zoo in My Hero Academia. From the foreign entities that appear in Barrage to the gut-wrenching anamorphic designs that we get from the animals of Omagadoki Zoo, they seem so unnatural yet normal at the same time. It is this type of horror that makes the Nomus stick out like a sore thumb. Just like the strange horror that we got from the Titans from Attack on Titan, the Nomus and Titans make us as readers intrigued due to their human yet inhuman designs. And because of the monstrous characteristics of both, we tend to forget the human sides of both Nomus and Titans. That's why when we see these creatures display their more human-esque attributes, we are always caught off guard. For example, when we see both of these creatures talk for the first time with the appearances of the Beast Titan and the high-end Nomu, these moments are so impactful in the story because you wouldn't expect these monsters to be capable of speech. And this moment of shock that we go through as the viewer and or reader is all the cause of one thing. We forget that the Nomus are human. When we see Mirko casually kill a Nomu, we don't even take a moment to think about the actions taking place. Granted, she is protecting herself, but a hero does not kill, or so we thought until this moment, and many others like it occur within the series. Moments like these are but a fraction of the unlimited potential that can be told with this narrative. Countless of interesting circumstances that are possible due to the creation of these creatures. Why do the heroes not hesitate to kill a Nomu? The answer to that is because they don't look human and because they're ugly. What exactly is going to happen when they fight a Nomu that looks like a human? Obviously, you'd think they'd hesitate, but no. Why would they hesitate when fighting a villain, whether it be Nomu or human? Because at the end of the day, regardless of being a Nomu or a human, you're still a villain. Shigaraki the perfected Nomu is a perfect example of that. If you were to replace the Nomus that Mirko fought with villains, and you replace them with something that looked more human, then as the reader, we would look at the heroes differently. This is what I like to call the if it looks human scenario. We as readers overlook what is happening to the monsters or the villains on screen, depending on their physical appearance. If something is scary or ugly, we wouldn't care about what happens to it. But if something were to look quote-unquote normal, it would be a different subject. Again, back to the situation with Mirko. If those Nomus looked more human, you would have reevaluated whether or not what she was doing was morally just. For example, let's take a look at Dr. Garaki and his Nomus Johnny and Mocha. Now, if Johnny or Mocha were no different than children with quirks, because after all, Nomus are human as well, you would look at that situation in a completely different way and think that the heroes in My Hero are pretty fucked up. But you know, sometimes I guess you gotta do what you gotta do as a hero. As shown with Hawks, Mirko, All Might, and even Endeavor. Nomus help play into this overarching theme in My Hero, like many others, allowing for the plot to go in any direction. And it is in this aspect that I feel that Nomus are very underappreciated in. Not only are we giving this interesting, morally gray plot point from them, but nomus also bring us scenarios in the story that can put the plot and its characters in situations that you will not see from any other series. For example, how would you guys react if your favorite character in My Hero got turned into a nomu? If I'm being honest, I can't really think of another series that could replicate a moment like this that is in New Gen Shonen. Again, let's think of the scenarios with Mirko and Endeavor. Imagine them fighting that same exact nomu, but instead that was your favorite character that got captured by the League of Villains and turned into one of them. For example, let's say a pro hero is fighting a nomu and does not know that that nomu was the same character from class 1A or maybe even class B that is missing, and it turns out that that same character is the nomu, and the pro hero might just kill it because it's a nomu and he does not realize that it's one of the students from UA. Let's say Endeavor fights a nomu that just so happens to have a tape quirk, and for some reason Sero is now missing. That's really just one scenario that can be explored due to the narrative that surrounds the nomu. Let's say Kirishima turns into a nomu and Bakugo has to fight him. Now this adds for a lot when it comes to the conflicts that can occur in the series. Let's see if we can think of more impactful moments that can possibly happen within the series, because this can actually get pretty dark, and the winged nomu was just a taste of how OD things can get. Now let's start with the basics. What if your waifu gets bopped and turned into a nomu? If Kendo gets turned into a nomu, I'm gonna be heated. Okay, but all jokes aside, I could only imagine what would happen if Dabi killed Endeavor, turned him into a nomu, and they both fight Todoroki at the same time. How will you feel when this happens? What if Aizawa was turned into a nomu that had the quirks of some of the students from UA? Could you imagine the horror of a nomu with Shoji's quirk and Aizawa's at the same time? And maybe just to make it even a little more creepy, you could have Aizawa talking through the nomu, and maybe even Shoji saying some crazy ass shit as they're both combined into this ugly ass nomu creature. Maybe Aizawa could be like, "I must protect my students," and he's just sitting there murking each and every single one of them. And because he's mixed with Shoji, he could make multiple limbs and make hundreds of eyes stare down all the students, or maybe even the other heroes that would all be trying to take down that same exact nomu. And let's say he can grow hands with more quirks, because, you know, obviously the nomu's gonna have more than just 2 quirks. He could have a blade quirk, grow hands, start cutting, mowing heroes down. He could probably split his limbs off into other tiny baby nomus running around cutting off people's quirks and attacking them. And see, this is just some basic stuff. Now what if Midoriya had to fight Bakugo or Togata or maybe even All Might as a nomu? The possibilities with nomus are truly endless, and hopefully at this point in the video, you can see why I think they are the best. From their amazing designs to the roles that they can play throughout the story, nothing is as fearsome as the nomu.